All praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem ChakWadash, double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, Shalom, salutations to the hopeful elect that's fighting the good fight of faith and truth, in sincerity and wholeheartedly, Shalom to the Akwath, which is the women believer, Shalom to you. All praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. America looking bad. Man, they looking bad. So, if you haven't heard, Trump agreed to Iran's demands. So now it's a ceasefire. That is defeat. And then on top of this, this has been happening for like the past month since the war started. But it's increasing now. NATO is really looking at America with the evil eye. They ain't effing with America right now. It's looking really, really bad. And prophecy, prophecy. Every day is something new and it's centered around prophecy. That's the beautiful thing of all of this. Matter of fact, let me see something real quick. I think I want to get the blue letter on this one. But I'm gonna try to let majority of this video play because it's man, the scripture's really coming to life, man. And I'm not surprised, but I just love the way that how it's becoming so plain in these last minutes, before the Lord returns. So it said, and whereas thou sawest the feet and the toes and the part of the potter's clay and part of iron, that's the military, the kingdom shall be divided, but there should be in it of the strength of the iron, for as much as you sawest the iron mixed with miry clay, going into the debt. All right. This is the main reason. Well, the main reason why they want to crash the system, because they just following prophecy. But in their mind, in their own heart, that is to bring more people in subjection under them. And also, the dollar is on its last leg. I mean, the dollar been on the decline for a very, very, very long time now. And it says, and as the toes of the feet were part of iron and a part of clay, so the kingdom should be partly strong and partly broken. And as we ended into, so verse 43, right, is the time that we are in. So the military ain't even strong anymore. America is not the big bad wolf as it used to be. And the scripture said that would be the case. Let the weak say I'm strong. All right. And then also in Isaiah 14:13, the nation said, are you also as become as weak as we? So all of this is prophecy. Verse 43, and where you saw is the iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, having, deals, having summits together, the meeting of the minds and, talking, plotting, doing all of that, right? But they still don't agree. They just don't come together. But they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with miry clay. So listen up. Goodness gracious. Beautiful.
The so-called leader of the free world, just got locked out of Europe's airspace. France said no, Italy said no, Spain said no, Switzerland said no. In the span of 48 hours, 4 major Western nations looked at the United States of America and said, we don't want any part of what you're doing. You're on your own, Donald. Let that satisfaction sink in for a second. The country that built NATO, the country that has projected military power across the globe for 7 decades, just got told by its own allies that it can't fly its planes over their countries.
Yeah, this is not small. This is not a small thing, as we just got done reading, Matter of fact, let me get this one real quick. It said, all the men of your confederacy have brought you even to the border. The men that were at peace with you have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. They that had eat your bread have laid a wound under thee. There is no understanding in him, because he ain't considered his later in. I want to read this in the NLT too. Matter of fact, NIV, it said, all your allies will force you to the border. Your friends will deceive you and overpower you. Those who eat your bread will set a trap for you, but you would not detect it. Okay? So, and you want to know why he won't detect it? Let me show you why he won't detect it. Verse 3, the pride of your heart have deceived thee. That's why. See, these devils, like I always say, the Lord have hardened their heart to make them believe that they can't be touched and that their allies is so dependent on them that they would never turn on them. So it said, though thou dwellest in the clefts of the rock, which is their land, Petra, okay? And also, as you see, concrete everywhere. And it says, whose habitation is high, skyscrapers started with them, all right? Because it reminds them of being in the Rocky Mountains. That's why they even call themselves Caucasians, which goes back to cave dweller. It said that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? So this is why. All right. This is why. So you can't even fly over your allies' airspace. They ain't effing with you. Oh, matter of fact, let me read verse 2. And this is happening with everybody. It said, matter of fact, let me start from 1. The vision of Obadiah does say the Lord Yahweh concerning Edom. We have heard a rumor from Yahweh, and an ambassador is sent among the heathen. Arise ye, let us rise up against her in battle. So everybody is going to have, their evil eyes looking at America. See, in World War III, that's all the nations fighting. That's the Lord bringing them together, as it's saying Joel chapter 3, verse 1 and 2. And he said why he's doing it, for his people. So he's bringing them down to the valley of Yahweh Shaphat, which is Yahweh judgment, all right, to plead for his people. Because all of these nations have touched the apple of his eye, okay? All these nations that's on the earth at one point in time ruled over his people. So you got to pay for that. And now you all in our land acting like it's yours, fighting over and everything, So verse 2, behold, I have made you small among the heathen. You are greatly despised. You even despise among your own allies. So this is not small. And this happened the day before the ceasefire. Okay, because I was supposed to get to this yesterday, but you know how life goes. Sometimes you don't get to do things you would like to do. So, but yeah.
That is not a minor diplomatic spat. That is not a little disagreement between friends. That is the sound of the post-World War II international order cracking in half right in front of our eyes. And I need you to understand something before we go any further here. This didn't happen because these countries suddenly hate America. This didn't happen because the French woke up one morning and decided they wanted to pick a fight. This happened because Donald Trump, the man sitting in the Oval Office, has spent his time in power systematically destroying every single relationship the United States has built over generations.
The Lord have put a tyrannical spirit on Trump to bring forth his prophecies. I mean, obviously, like when you read the scriptures, there are also actions that have to go with it. So it's easy, we could just say, well, all of this is happening because of prophecy, which is the truth and really the only answer. But to give a little bit more details, like I always say, actions have to happen for the scriptures to come to play. So the Lord have put a tyrannical spirit on Trump, to basically start up the ruckus against his allies. All right. And it actually started with Joe Biden, going back to the, putting sanctions on Russia, blowing up the Nord Stream 1, which is the pipeline that sent oil to the Western Europe, which is European Union, making them pay more higher prices by coming to America. But y'all supposed to be friends, though. That's like, and I hate to use street analogies, but hey, I feel like I could explain it better. So imagine you and your buddy. He's on the East Coast, you're on the West Coast. He got a plug, you got a plug. Okay? Y'all both eating, making money. Okay? But you end up taking out his plug on the low, behind his back, didn't know. All right? He doing bad. obviously y'all homeboys. Now he got to come to you instead of like putting him on, because now you making double the money, because like I said, he's out the game. Y'all was 1 and 2, you know. So now you making him come to you, and the prices that he was getting from his plug. Now, oh yeah, it's all good, bro. Just come over here, f with me. And now what? Now you whacking him over the head with the prices, and he got no choice because this is all he know. This is all he do. And but in his heart, he like, this is fucked up. And I wonder if he actually did it. You know what I'm saying? So that's literally what you did. It's supposed to be your allies, your friends, and then you take out, their energy resource, make them dependent on you, and then charge them 4 or 5 times higher than what they was paying. So Europe really been in an energy crisis since the pandemic. It's just getting worse now, especially since what's going on in Iran.
He threatened NATO. He attacked allies. He cozied up to dictators. He launched a war in Iran without consulting anyone. And now he's shocked that nobody wants to help him. I mean, how dumb do you have to be? Look, let's walk through this piece by piece, because the details here are staggering when you actually lay them all out on the table. So here's what happened. France and Italy officially joined Spain and Switzerland in denying the United States any military support or airspace for Trump's war in Iran. And it's not just the US that got shut out. Israel wanted to use French airspace to transport American weapons that were going to be used in the Iran conflict. And France said, absolutely not. France flat out refused. And Italy? Italy told the United States that if they want to use Italian military infrastructure for purposes outside of existing agreements, they need special permission. And guess what? Trump's Iran war doesn't fall under any existing agreement. So the answer...
Starting to make me think this is one of the main reasons why, they are so-called agreed to the ceasefire, and because everything is just not going his way. He didn't have no help. He thought this was Venezuela. He thought he could just go up in there and just take it, but Iran been prepared. And that's because they're a big part of prophecy. Ezekiel 38 going to it. Russia, going to get involved eventually. But here's another thing too. When it comes to this war that's starting, that's why I just made a video a couple of days ago, but the end is not yet. Because you have to understand. So if you know prophecy, Ishmael, which is the so-called Arabs, they have to get involved, because the scripture says that Ishmael in the scriptures, the ancient name, I can't even really call it the ancient name, but the name in the early 1900s, the so-called East Indians, all right, they was called Carmanians. And when you read 2 Esdras 15, it said that the dragons of Arabia, which is Ishmael, and the Carmanians should join together. Okay. So if you don't see Ishmael involved, you really, it is what it is. All of these things is going to lead to that. But the one main thing that you always got to remember, the mark of the beast have to come first. Okay. That's why the digital infrastructure is already being set up, and they're talking about it more. I mean, I can't say already being set up. It's already set up. They're talking about it more, and they really ready to just flip the switch, because that's all it takes.
From Italy was, no, you don't get to use our country as a pit stop for your unauthorized military adventure. Now think about that for a second. These are NATO allies. These are countries that have stood shoulder to shoulder with the United States through the Cold War, through the Balkans, through Afghanistan, through countless military operations over decades. And in the span of a few months, Donald Trump has managed to alienate them so completely, so thoroughly, that they won't even let American planes fly over their territory. That's not just a policy disagreement, that's a full-blown divorce. And what was Trump's response to all of this? Did he reflect? Did he pause and think, maybe I should have talked to my allies before launching a major military operation in the Middle East? No, of course not. This is Donald Trump we're talking about. He went on the attack. He accused France of blocking military equipment. He attacked France and the United Kingdom throughout the day. He basically threw a tantrum like a child who got told he can't have dessert and then flipped the table over. And then, and this is the part that should make every American sit up straight in their chair, Trump said the United States should consider withdrawing from NATO. Let me say that again so it really lands. The President of the United States suggested that America should pull out of the military alliance that has been the backbone of Western security since 1949. An alliance that was specifically created to prevent the kind of catastrophic global conflicts that killed tens of millions of people in the first half of the 20th century. Trump wants to throw that in the garbage because France wouldn't let his planes fly over their country for a war he started without asking anyone. And it wasn't just Trump. Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, went on Fox News and echoed the exact same thing. And I want to break down what Rubio said because the framing he used is so dishonest, so manipulative that it deserves to be pulled apart word by word. Rubio said, and I'm paraphrasing the substance here, that he used to be one of the strongest defenders of NATO in the Senate because he saw value in it. He said NATO wasn't just about defending Europe, it was about having military bases in Europe that allowed the US to project power around the world. But now, he said, if NATO means we can't use those bases when we need them, then what's the point? Then it's a one-way street. Then we're just there to defend Europe, but when we need help, they say no. Here's the reality of what Rubio just did there. He reframed the entire situation to make it sound like America is the victim, like America has been this generous benefactor, just giving and giving and giving to ungrateful Europeans who won't return the favor. But that is a complete distortion of what's actually happening. The reason these countries are refusing to cooperate isn't because they don't value the alliance. It's because Donald Trump launched an unlawful war, a war that none of these countries were consulted about, a war that none of
them was prepared for. So that's like, matter of fact, what's that? I gotta go to the Apocrypha real quick. I want to say it's either Sirach 9 or 8. That's a good one. Let me try 8. Yep. So imagine you chilling, and then I talk about your homeboy, one of your best friends or your brother, whoever. There's somebody you close to. You chilling. Y'all, I don't know, y'all at a house party or whatever. This man, go do a drive-by, a couple of blocks over. You hear the shots, but you in the hood, you used to it. So you turn down the music, see what's good, see what's good. All right, after you don't hear really nothing no more. All right, you turn back up the music. Then your dude come in the house, out of breath, sweaty. You like, what the fuck is going on? He go tell you he just shot up, one of your enemy's block up, and they on their way. So now you in a whole heap of trouble. You got us in some shit that we wasn't even prepared for. We partying right now. We chilling. The European Union, they wasn't ready for no damn war, and they haven't been building up their military for a long time. America haven't even been building up their military for a long time. So imagine both of y'all chilling. All right. You just a straight drug dealer now. Okay. You don't even be shooting shots. You don't be doing drive-bys or nothing like that. You've been chilling for the past couple of decades. And then you won't randomly one day want to go shoot up your, as they call it, ops. You want to go shoot at your ops, and now your ops is at you. Okay. But they've been prepared. You haven't. You've been chilling. Your ops been in wars. You know what I'm saying? This is the Middle East. All right. Usually, so I hope you're getting the analogy. But anyways, it says, it said, travel not by the way with a bold fellow, lest he become grievous unto thee, for he will do according to his own will, and you shall perish with him through his folly. So that's what the European Union is recognizing. They recognize like This nigga's getting me into shit that I ain't even asked for.
Agreed to, a war that violates international norms, and then he showed up at their door demanding they participate. That's not how alliances work. That's not how partnerships work. You don't ignore your partners, go rogue, start a fire, and then get mad when they won't help you put it out. And let's talk about what Rubio said regarding the Strait of Hormuz, because this was equally disturbing. Rubio basically said, yeah, the Strait of Hormuz is international waters, and what Iran is doing there is illegal under maritime law. But then he said, it's not really America's problem. The US doesn't get much energy through the strait. It's Europe's problem. It's Asia's problem. Let them deal with it. The United States.
Yeah, and like I said, and you causing more problems for them, you know? So it said, and he saith unto me, the waters which thou sawest, goodness gracious, where the whore sitteth are peoples, multitudes, nations, and tongues. And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, the European Union. That's what this whole video is about. And shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. Why? For the Most High have put it in their heart to fulfill his will, to agree, and to give their kingdom unto the beast, until the words of the Most High be fulfilled. The word of the Most High is almost fulfilled. This is why all these things is happening. But as we see, as we read, as we looking on, Babylon the Great will be destroyed. And half of it is going to be destroyed by their own allies. So this is beautiful to see. You know, this is why we should be continue to be prayed up and watching the Lord work, man. So all you people who playing games, seek ye out the Lord while he may be found, and shalom.